Good morning, dolls and gents. Good morning, daughters of the living, loving Savior and gentlemen in the King's Army. How are you all this morning? I pray all is well. So I wanted to talk from the subject pretty little sins this morning. Pretty little sins. So I was getting my daughter dressed this morning. I'm getting her hair done this morning. And we were running tight on time. And so I was putting it up into a ponytail. And she was like, well, I thought you was going to do this too. And I told her, I said, well, we're running late on time. And so she said, well, I'm going to put my clip-on puff on. And I was like, okay. I was like, but it looks fine. I mean, we do that whenever we don't got no choice and it's not looking fine, but it looks fine this morning. And the more we started talking, I just really started getting a little bit irritated, which was very odd because I'm very rarely irritated. And I'm like, okay. When I got finished fixing her hair, I said, Lord, what is that about? Wow, what did I get irritated about? And the Lord reminded me how hard I had struggled to come out of vanity and idolatry and self-worship, those pretty little sins. And so when we got in the car, I started sharing with her my testimony. And I started kind of just really allowing the Lord to flow through me. And she knows very well about the thou shalt not, the sins that you don't touch. She knows don't drink, don't smoke, don't cuss, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. She knows those. But I had to tell her, I said, there are some sins that happen on the inside of us and they creep in. And they can really change the course of our life and we don't realize it. And the beauty industry glorifies it. And me being a hairstylist, I just thought it was just my job. I thought it was just my career. But I remember finding myself in Florida during a part of my deliverance process. And I remember my head hurting really bad and I couldn't wear my wigs. I couldn't even wear braids in my hair. And I remember talking to one of my mentors and she told me, she said, what's wrong with you? And I said, I don't know. I said, my head is hurting so bad. I can't even wear my weaves. I can't wear my wigs. I can't even wear my hair braided and I can't go outside. She said, why can't you go outside? And I said, well, I can't go outside because my head hurts too bad and my hair is a mess. I hate my hair. And she said, you what? I said, I hate my hair. She said, you hate your hair? And I said, yeah. She said, everything God created was beautiful. Didn't he create your hair? And I was like, yes, ma'am. She said, well, then it's beautiful. And I want you to go in that mirror and I want you to stand in that mirror. And I don't want you to come out until you see every ounce of beauty that God put inside of you naturally. I want you to take off the makeup, take off all of that stuff and just stand in that mirror. And it took me over 45 minutes to stand in that mirror and tear down every stereotype that I put on myself, that the world put on me, that I had looked at other people, the spirit of comparison, watching what other people had going on. And I was like, wow, it was very hard for me. So in that moment this morning, when I was understanding my daughter to not want to wear her own hair, and when I started talking to her about it, and I'm asking her, why don't you want to wear your own hair? And I said, did somebody say something? Because she's been wearing her own hair. And she's like, she was very quiet. And I said, well, Heaven, you can't worry about what other people say. You have to know what God says about you because your hair is beautiful and you have some. Some people would love to have this hair that you have on your head, but you have to be grateful for what you do have. And I don't want you to get caught up because we don't even know we're caught up. That is what I looked back over my life and realized. I didn't know that I was caught up in beauty to that dimension. I didn't understand it. But this is how you know you're caught up. When you cannot go outside without your hair a certain way. When you cannot go outside without your makeup on. When you cannot go outside without weave on. When you are spending your bill money on hair and makeup and shoes and clothes. This is a problem of vanity. If you are late everywhere you go because you got to spend all this time on your makeup. This is vanity, and it has creeped in and took so many of us by the throat. It is a very wicked spirit. And once it gets a hold of you, it talks back to you in that mirror. It tells you that you are not pretty without makeup on. It tells you that you are not pretty with your natural state of hair. It tells you that you are not pretty without all of these things. We have to really seek the Lord even in our beauty aspects. It is so important not only to seek the Lord for some things, but for all things. The Lord said we are to be modest, and that our beauty comes from a quiet spirit. And I really and truly believe that spirit of vanity is loud. It is loud, it's crash, it's outrageous, because it's the opposite of having your beauty from the inside. We have to really be mindful of that, because it is not good. And we're training up our children into that. When we're braiding our baby's hair and we putting a whole boatload of hair in their hair, and I did it too. So I'm not judging nobody, but I'm saying that you have to be careful, because it starts to teach them that they are only beautiful with extra hair in their head. They're only beautiful with all of these extra things. And it really hurt my heart this morning. I was like, wow, I don't want to be painting that picture. I used to wear color contacts because I liked them for a fashion accessory. But then I started noticing that my daughter, when she would post pictures online, she would change the color of her eye on the picture. And I was like, well, why are you doing that? And she was like, because it looks pretty on you. And I don't like my brown eyes. And I was like, heaven no. I said, I like my brown eyes. It's just a fashion accessory for me. And then the Lord started to really deal with me. And when I had to take them out, when I took them out, because the Lord showed me how I was teaching my daughter that our beauty is manufactured, and that I wasn't happy with my natural eye color. It was days that I was like, oh man, I got to take my contacts out. And not that I care what other people thought that I didn't have them or I did have them, but it bothered me, because what is that? That's tearing down those idols. It had become an idol for me. It had become something that I had put on and did not want to take off. We have to be mindful, you all, because it is so easy to slip into idolatry and not even know it. Your hair can become a god. Your makeup can become a god. It's so amazing to me how these evil devices and these demonic forces, they come into the scene, and then they even tell on themselves. I don't know, like this whole new trend was not new, but this trend of bronzer, highlight, I think is what everybody's calling it, where we just paint ourselves gold. It's like we're making little idols of ourselves. I see some people and the bronzer is so bronze and the highlight is so gold that your whole face looks almost like just a little bronze statue. And that is not what God wants for us to do. If we are more comfortable spending hours and hours and hours in the beauty salon, but then you upset about getting to church on Sunday and how long they going to be and how long prayer is and how long they preaching and how long they doing this and how long they doing that. But you sit countless hours in the beauty salon or the barber shop. You might want to be mindful that you are creating an idol, or that you have an idol in your life. And God said, I have no other God before me. When I really started to investigate this topic and ask the Lord to show me, it took me back to when I was married to my ex-husband. And he would tell me, you're not beautiful without makeup on. You're only beautiful with makeup on. And I remember at the time being like, yeah, right. But as I look back, and then he started cheating and doing all these other things, then it started to make me think it was something wrong with me. But it wasn't me. It was something wrong with him. But because I wasn't in my word enough, I wasn't spending time with the Lord enough, I wasn't in the presence of God, depression started to creep in, and then those seeds started to take root. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to get really good at makeup. And then once I got really good at makeup, then people were like, oh, you look so gorgeous, so amazing, so wonderful. People would literally, when I would have on a full face of makeup, people would be captivated. And I remember this one time I was sitting in a store, and this man, I was just sitting still because I was quiet. And then when I moved, he jumped. And I said, what in the world is wrong with you? He said, I thought you was a statue. It's like, no, I'm a real person. But it just started to mesmerize people. And then that seducing spirit that I already had was definitely manifesting through that. And it was drawing people in. So we have to be careful, because then we also set up addiction. Addiction starts to creep on in there too. And then, like I said earlier, you're spending all this money on makeup and hair and clothes. And then you're teaching your children that their value is in the label or in the brand. They ain't nothing if they don't have on Polo or Gucci or Jordans, all of these things. You're teaching your children this. And if something happens to you and you can't provide those things, then they go out on the streets and you have girls sleeping with guys for shoes, for hair, for makeup. You got guys selling dope for hair, for shoes, for clothes. We have to be careful of these seeds that we are planting in our children. A shirt is a shirt. I don't care if it was $5 or $55 or $500. It still has to be made out of thread, cotton, some kind of material. Let's be careful that we are teaching our children idolatry. And it's so easily influenceable in our society, because the children on Disney Channel are doing it, and the movies, and the kids at school, everybody's doing it. So be careful not to influence that in your own home. They should not be ashamed of basic things and simple things, because that's what life is about. It's about love. It's about family. It's about living a life that is pleasing to God, not only on Sunday, but all throughout the week, and allowing our lives to be poured out. We even have to be mindful, us women in ministry, we have to be mindful of how we display our temple, because others are looking at us. And if they say, oh, well, Pastor this, because she wears this, and Pastor that wears that, and so-and-so this wears that, then it makes it like, oh, okay, it's okay because she does it. We are role models. And we have to be mindful of that your whole life is submitted to the Lord. You don't get to keep your fashion on the back burner. And I know, I know, I love fashion. I love it. But there's a way to be beautiful, and there's a way to look nice, but not to spend your whole paycheck at one time on one outfit. And there's a way to look nice and not be revealing dress. Because a man of God should not desire a woman whose flesh is exposed. That is for behind the scenes when you are married. I actually was scrolling down my timeline, and I seen someone that had posted this outfit, and they were with their husband, and she had on a lace 90, and it was like for a dress. They was out in public. And I trust and believe, I am not judging, because I used to dress so inappropriate. I went to a strip club one night, and they told me I couldn't come in because I didn't have on enough clothes. So never any judgment. I've been there. But I was just thinking to myself, wow, what does she wear at home if this is what she wears out? We have to keep some things private. And a man should not want his wife exposed to the world. Let's just be mindful of how we're teaching our children. When we dress in that way, then we're teaching our children that a woman of God can have her breasts hanging out the top and her butt hanging out the bottom. But as long as you go to church on Sunday, all is well. No. That is not what we want to teach our children. We want to teach them the way that God said live this life. We want to open our Bible and even show them in the Word of God, but also show them in our lifestyle choices, and the things that we do, in the way that we dress, in the way that we walk, in the way that we talk. And it all boils down to self-esteem. The beauty industry plays on our self-esteem and insecurities, and also the things that us not wanting to wait. And when we don't want to wait, it's quicker for us to put on makeup than it is for us to go through a skincare regimen and start working on perfecting our skin. And trust me, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to me. It's quicker for us to wear a corset than to lose weight. Trust me, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to me. I was the queen of corsets. I had learned how to wear a corset and a girdle at the same time and get my waistline down so small, people didn't know what happened to them. We want to be careful of this microwave solution to the way that God wants us to live this life. Everything is not quick. That's actually one of the reasons my daughter gave me. She was like, well, my hair is not growing fast enough. I said, Heaven, it's actually growing pretty fast. You have to wait and be patient. It's growing. It's going to work out for your good. Don't only want the end result. Enjoy the process. The process is beautiful. It's these pretty little sins, and what they really boil down to, even more than self-esteem, is they boil down to trusting in God. And when we don't trust that God's way is the right way, then we go back to our old ways, or we stay in the way of the world. When we don't trust that we can get a husband God's way, dressed modestly and toned down, then we say, okay, well, let me go back out here and put on this, that, and this and that, because I knew I could have the guys hollering at me and talking to me then. But it's the wrong spirit. It's the wrong type of man that you're attracting, because a godly man doesn't want a woman that's turned up, tuned up, and bad and bougie. It should not be attractive to him. If it's still attractive to him, it's some places inside of himself that he still has to submit to the Lord. Because I sure don't want no man that's doing all the wrong things. It's not attractive to me. It's a matter of trusting in God that his way is not the best way. So we're going to do it our own way. And we're going to try it our own way. And we're going to stick to this. And then we get upset when we get into these relationships because we've attracted these people that are not of God, but they go to church on Sunday. So we, for some reason, just say, oh, okay, that's good. He goes to church and he pays his tithes. That's good. No. It's not enough. We have to live a fully submitted life, trusting in God that his way is best and that he knows best. And anybody that we want in our circle that he doesn't allow to be in our circle, it's not for us. Or maybe it's not for that season. Don't rush it. Go through the process. Allow yourself to be hidden in God, in his ways. And you'll even start to notice the more you submit yourself, certain people will not talk to you. They already can see it on you. They can see the glory that you carry. Our body is the temple of God. And if you walked up to a church, let's say the church had aluminum siding. You walked up to the church and the aluminum siding was melting down and you could see the foundation. You would be like, that is crazy. This church is really going on. That's the same way we look when we say we love God, but we are all exposed in our dress code. That's the same way it looks. Our temple is exposed. Our foundation is showing. And it's all a matter of trusting in God, fully submitting our ways and our will to his will. It's these pretty little sins that are creeping in through the fashion and beauty industry, even in the men, these dress codes, these men in these extremely tight pants. That is not of God. And people that want to come to church, if a man is struggling with homosexuality and he walks into that church and the man of God is preaching, or some other men are in the church and your pants are so tight, it's distracting. Let's be mindful not to let our brothers stumble, not to let our sisters stumble on the back of us enjoying a fashion for the moment. That's not what God desires for us. So that is my subject this morning, pretty little sins. Be mindful how you are passing those along to your children, not in your actions. Not in your words, but in your actions. We're not telling them that you don't look pretty without weave, without makeup, without clothes, without expensive brands, but we're showing them in the way we raise them and in the things that we do. I pray that this message encouraged you. If you are listening to this message on my YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe so that you can stay in tune with the Makeover Ministry. I love you all and be encouraged.